Hi, my name is Dean, and I'm extremely excited that I have the opportunity to offer you a lecture on the conscious relationship as a path to wholeness. For more than 18 years of my life now, I've been uh, studying just how can one fulfill their potential and live a more joyous life. It is something I'm truly passionate about, and relationships is one of those very powerful paths that can help nourish our souls as well as lead us towards something that is magnificent within ourselves. So, over the years, I've studied relationships, others as well as my own, and have done a lot of research and read about and listened to what the other great teachers have to say on this topic. And as part of this lecture today, I'm really honored that I'll be able to share with you my understanding what is a conscious relationship, what wholeness means, and the 9 qualities of conscious relationship that's going to help us to fulfill our potential and live a more joyous and uplifting life. So, what is wholeness? My understanding of wholeness, and this is um, really in agreement with my own experience and some of the wonderful teachings out there, not just in the past 50 years, but over the past thousands of years on the meaning of wholeness. Wholeness is two things. And first of all, it is self completion. And what do I mean by that? So, life is a journey that we're all on. And this journey has a destination. And that destination is a place where we feel that we're more complete as people, that we have the ability to play many different roles, wear many different hats, that we're in fact limitless um, beyond beyond the initial concepts of who we are, and it is just a place where we really feel that we're able to adapt to any situation, that we're able to relate to anybody, and that we're up for any tasks that come our way. So this is truly a place where we have experienced so much in life, and that uh, we feel that there are really very few things about ourselves that we haven't experienced or don't know about. And if life is a journey and there is a destination where we have become the ideal version of ourselves, then the second meaning of wholeness is that wherever we are on this journey in life, that we are already perfect as we are wherever we are in this journey. So this is really tapping into that part of ourselves where we are happy, we're joyous, we are light, we are free from worry, free from any feelings or thoughts of incompleteness, of not being good enough. It's really an experiential knowing. It's an embodied knowing that we know in our bones, in our hearts, in our minds, without a single shred of doubt that we are perfect. And this has nothing to do with how much money we have in our bank accounts, what kind of work we do in our lives, whether or not we have the relationship of our dreams, and if we're in good health. It really has nothing to do with all of these things. And it is that moment by moment knowing that penetrates to our core, where we really know that everything's fine, that we're okay, and it is that this experience that we all seek through perhaps the lifelong goals that we have, or through the activities that we pursue, that we're always reaching for this feeling, and this feeling is often evident in those who are living the life of their dreams, or in children who you observe as they just the way they are in their everyday life. There's just this freedom, this uh, this connection with something that is so alive within themselves that life is simply a pleasure to live. So these are the two meanings of wholeness that I believe we're all wanting badly in everything that we do, and we try to go there. And that conscious relationship is a powerful way to bring us closer and closer toward this wholeness, as I have described. So, just what is a conscious relationship? Um, Relationships are already complicated enough, right? So, why add the word conscious to it? And what I mean here by conscious is that it is a relationship that is aligned with the highest intentions that has been embedded and designed into the very fabric of a relationship, whereby um, the the partners involved in this relationship, and I'm speaking specifically of intimate relationships and long-term and committed relationships between two people. Um, Although the qualities that we'll be talking about shortly can certainly apply to almost any relationship that has these qualities of commitment and long-term relatedness. But I have in mind here the intimate love relationships. So, in the context of a conscious relationship, the partners or the people involved are aligned with the intention that they're in this relationship to really walk this journey of wholeness as I've just described. So they are looking to be a more complete and more idealized version of themselves in the relationship, and they're there to really strengthen that connection with this inner perfection that they have, this inner freedom that they feel. So when both people are aligned to the highest intentions of a relationship and practice the nine qualities that I'm going to be discussing, then this is what I consider to be a conscious relationship, one that is intentional, a relationship that is awake, and a relationship that is filled with light. So let's look at the first quality of a conscious relationship, and it starts with self-knowledge, which is the foundation to all of life, to how we live our lives, to the choices that we make in our lives, and really guides us in our behaviors. And self-knowledge is one of those things where if we can recognize that it never stops, that we never stop evolving, that we never stop learning about ourselves, no matter at what age we are, then this is going to contribute to the level of consciousness within a relationship. And it is something that I've experienced personally in my life as I have lived in Asia and in North America as well as in Europe for many years. And the each time I expose myself to a different environment and interact with people from different cultures, my point of view of the world is expanded, and so is my knowledge of myself, who I am, what kind of personality do I have, and how am I able to interact with people differently based on the cultural context that they're in. And I just keep learning about the fact that there's no limitation to my philosophy about life or to my beliefs or um, to my ability in doing the different things that require me to wear different hats. Um, so in a relationship, it's the same thing. When two people come together, a partner, it's like two cultures coming together, really, because um, each partner will probably have grown up in a different environment, even if you're from the same country as your partner. He or she will probably have different family values and a different a style or an environment under which she has, or he or she has grown up in. And it's like a clash of the two worlds when two people come together, learning about each other's points of views. And this self knowledge that we gain comes from um, comes from seeing that as we interact with a different culture, another person, that they're going to show us, like a mirror, some of the beliefs that we didn't know that we have. And some of these beliefs could be really rigid, or they could be flexible, but they will shine a light in the corner of our self knowledge, where we will realize, hey, that maybe we are quite selfish, or maybe we don't take things that seriously, or maybe that we are so focused on our intellectual development that we have forgotten about the practical aspects of our life. So our self knowledge just continues to expand when we are in a relationship. And the importance here is that we never stop learning and stop evolving in the context of relationship, and that we are we open our eyes to the fact that relationship is going to help us um, continue to refine and evolve this library of self-knowledge that we have. And the second quality of a conscious relationship is that in the process of getting to know ourselves better and better, that we realize that we are really quite separate and unique from the others in terms of how we view the world, and that we come to accept that the others, our partner, if they have done the work, and that they're continuing to do this work of self-development, that they are also a separate and unique self, that we do not expect them to be the same as who we are. And that this is really important, right? And it sounds so logical to know that uh, others are different from ourselves, but often in relationships we forget about this. We begin to believe that others should have the same point of view as we do, and if they don't, then there's something wrong with them. If they don't like certain foods, we can understand why, or if they don't like basketball as I do, then there's something wrong with them, because basketball is so exciting, and it's such a fast-paced sport. Um, how can anybody not like it, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we start to really apply our value judgments and our own preferences, and find it bizarre that others do not fit into or have the same worldview. So really, in looking at our partners as being a separate and unique self, when we come to realize that, and that there is validity behind the way they view the world. So, for example, if our partners um, uh, like to go to sleep early because they believe that they need 8 hours of sleep per night in order to be completely refreshed, whereas we hold another belief that that sleep is really not that important, that the quality of our lives is elevated by how passionate we are about the things that we pursue, and then when we have that, we don't need sleep that much. That happens to be one of my beliefs, and there are different reasons for the belief that I have versus the ones that my partner has, but that I give validity to to the way she views the world, the way she operates in her life, and then be able to respect that, and not demand her to be the same as I am. So this is really important, because in a relationship, we don't want there to be a winner and a loser, someone is going to be right and someone who's going to be wrong, because ultimately that changes the quality of the relationship. And really, it's important to be able to see the world from my partner's eyes, and see the reason that he or she has is really that it really makes sense to us. And this really fulfills the human need that we all have, which is to be validated, to feel that we are right in the way that we think. And this is a breaking through of the limited paradigm where there is one person is right and the other is wrong, the either or mentality. In a relationship, we look for a both and mentality where we can both be right, that we can both have a valid view of the world. And what this does for us is that it really expands our view of the world. It's like those of us who speak more than one language will have realized that by learning a new language, it gives us opens up a portal through which we enter into a new world, that we see a new philosophy, a new way of thinking, a new way of interacting in society and relationships. And this is what it is. Our views become three-dimensional rather than two-dimensional. And it really allows us actually to be a lot more flexible in life. And because we have different points of views that we can take on depending on the situation that we are in. And you probably have all heard the saying that our ability to enjoy lives or to overcome a challenging situation in life is our ability to find a different point of view about what an event means when we lose a loved one, or when we lose our jobs, or when we go through something that is so difficult for us emotionally, that we find a different way to look at it, so that we can transcend it, so that we can overcome it. So the ability to adopt another person's point of view gives us this ability, and it's a practice, in fact, for learning to take on different perspectives in life. So it is something that is really going to help us in our journey toward wholeness. The third quality in a conscious relationship is awareness, detachment, and presence. These are three intimately related qualities, and really three faces on the same totem pole. So, what is awareness, detachment, and presence? Awareness really is this alertness that we have about what is happening, not just around us, but within ourselves, right? So when someone treats us unfairly, that maybe we're the kind of people who let people step all over us easily. Um, and if we are like that, then the awareness that we'll have within ourselves as we evolve toward wholeness is that we become aware that we really don't like that. We don't like it when people step on us or are inconsiderate to our needs and feelings. Um, and So its ability to realize the ongoing subtle feelings that is within ourselves, but it's also to know what is happening around us, right? I mean, it is possible that you could be listening to this lecture, and but be thinking about something else and completely miss the things that I'm talking about here, right? I mean, our awareness can be expansive and omnipresent, or it could be so narrow and limited that we miss much of what is going on in life and within ourselves. So that is awareness. Detachment is our ability to keep that subtle but important distance from the feelings and thoughts that we have, so they do not take us over. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you are in a heated argument with your partner, that your partner is screaming at you, and you are able um, to observe with your awareness that you are in fact heating up inside yourself, and that you would very much like to deliver some acrimonious uh, or critical comment of your own back to your partner, and you because you're able to maintain this slight distance between your your reaction, or your the reaction that you're wanting to have, you're able to withhold that reaction, and with the presence in this kind of an intense and emotional situation, and by presence I mean that we are really rooted in something that is so deep within ourselves. Maybe it's a source of confidence. Maybe it's a source of love within ourselves that we are um, where we cannot be touched, no matter how much pain we are experiencing in that moment, how angry or how unjustified or how much injustice that we feel in the situation, that we know we are really still a good human being, and as imperfect as we are, that we're not those um, unfair things that people sometimes say we are. And if we really are on the surface, with the flaws that we have, because none of us are perfect, then we can admit to that without um, unnecessarily beating ourselves up exceedingly. So, presence is really this anchor that we have within ourselves, where we're able to withstand um, any kind of attack or overwhelming situation in life, so that when we do respond and when we do take action, it will come from a place where we're not trying to hurt the other people, or we're not trying to hurt ourselves, and that we can really respond with the wisest action that is going to be for the greatest good for everyone involved. And the fourth quality in a conscious relationship is non-attachment to roles. And the non-attachment to roles is something that is quite relevant to a conscious relationship, because in a relationship, there is the healthy understanding that relationship is not a fixed thing in time. It is not something to necessarily be maintained forever, and that there's a part of ourselves that is always changing, and therefore the relationship itself is always changing. So in this kind of a flux or situation, that we never stay attached to the type of role that we're going to play in a relationship, because the relationship is going to demand us to play different roles at different times. So for example, you and I all have different roles that we like to play, right? I mean, for an extended period of time in my life, I consider myself to be someone who was really intellectual, and someone who is really good at understanding concepts, and really, I consider myself a philosopher and those kind of things, right? And but then when it comes to matters which require me to be practical and matter of fact, I had difficulties with that. In that, in one of my past relationships, I was required by the relationship, and indeed by my partner, to find that balance between someone who is intellectual about life versus someone who is able to really feel life, to really to be practical about the things that I talk about, and be able to do them. And so that is an example of my relationship, my partner asking me to be able to step into a role where I'm not used to, or don't feel like I'm really good at. And of course, there are so many other roles that we play. The role of being a dominant person, or the role of being a submissive person, the role of someone who is able to get things done, and the role of someone who is really good at caring and nourishing others. We all have these different roles that really match our strengths and that we're proud of, and it's important. Roles give us an identity. They help us develop certain qualities and skills, and they really give us a feeling of predictability, control, and a sense of security. So roles are great. The key really is not to be attached to them, because new roles is going to provide us with the ability to learn new skills, learn new ways of being, and ultimately, when we play different roles, our sense of self is going to become more expanded, much like the in today's modern world, where there are stay-at-home fathers and there are working mothers who have reversed the traditional roles of uh, what it means to be a breadwinner and a caretaker in the household, and that this allows the partners to become more versatile as individuals, and it also allows them to become more empathetic and compassionate of the roles that their partner had to play, if indeed they were playing different roles and they just had to reverse the roles. So this all of this contributes to the longevity and stability of a relationship because both people are much more resourceful, um, and they're able to develop a stronger rapport in the relationship as a result of having to wear different hats. The next quality in a conscious relationship is intention. And intention is very much like an invisible compass that is guiding the behaviors in a relationship because intention is one of these outcomes that we set in our minds even before we enter into a relationship, right? Some people, perhaps one of us that is listening to this audio recording, will have said to himself or herself, hey, the next time I'm in a relationship, I'm just going to have fun. And I don't care if the other person is boring. I don't care if they accept me or not. I'm going to have fun. And when you set an intention and you really commit to that, then you often find that things will unfold and happen according to the way you've envisioned them. So um, that is the power of intention. And if you enter a relationship and saying, hey, I'm here to really to open up to another human being, to receive love and as well as to give love, then imagine the kind of the behavior and the mindset that this person will have and while they're in a relationship. So uh, in a conscious relationship, then our intention really is aligned with a wholeness, as I have described at the beginning of this recording, which is really to become a more idealized and complete versions of ourselves, and also to strengthen that connection and our ability to tap into the part of ourselves where we really know without a single shred of doubt that we are uh, perfect, that we deserve love, that we are joyous, that we are free as people. So these are the intentions that we align ourselves with in a conscious relationship, and all of our efforts and the way we deal with problems and the way we treat each other all align with this intention. And commitment is the next quality within a conscious relationship. And there are two types of commitment, both of which I see as being necessary in order to allow a relationship to come alive. So there is the traditional way of committing to a relationship, which is something typically you will hear at wedding ceremonies, till death do we part. And this is a really external or masculine way of committing to a relationship, right? Because it is about the strength to keep a relationship together, to hold on to it, and to break through all obstacles, all pain, and um, all difficulties without ever letting go. Without it is providing that foundation and that container where the partners can feel safe and feel protected, and it is important. Um, but what I would like to add to this traditional approach to committing to a relationship is um, not literally committing to our physical deaths in a relationship, but really committing to the willingness to have our egos die, right? Our identities disintegrate, to really basically willing to change who we are, so that we can evolve along with the demands of the relationship and become a better person, to become more limitless as a human being. And this is a more meaningful way to commit to to quote unquote death, because I have seen relationships, and perhaps you have as well, that has become devoid of meaning, it has become devoid of life, and that it's just a shell, and the two partners are holding on for the sake of quote unquote the family, quote unquote the children, and they think they're doing something honorable. And I really do honor people who do this. It takes incredible sense of self-sacrifice to do it. Um, but I don't believe that is necessary to sacrifice yourself in that way to lose the joy of life in order uh, to to live a relationship that's going to give joy to others, because it becomes an illusion where we are no longer joyous, then those of um, that's close to us can also not experience joy. So in fact, this is where I take a revised approach to commitment. So if this way of approaching commitment is the masculine approach, the willingness to experience death in our egos, in our self concept, then the more feminine approach, or the formless approach, is really a commitment to a certain standard within a relationship. And standards are really important, because if you ever study uh, the philosophy of success, and you look at those who are successful, and the in whatever areas it is in their lives, financial, health, relationships, career, these people have certain standards that they set, whether consciously or not. They have high standards that they commit to, and unless those standards are met, um, they're not going to be satisfied. So, within the context of a conscious relationship, there are standards that we commit to in terms of our happiness, right? And that we don't settle for less. And we are realistic and practical about the fact that we do have, and in relation to these standards, our emotional needs, our psychological needs, our intellectual needs, our physical needs. There are all these different needs that we have as human beings, and that they must be met by ourselves and through our partners. So that in this kind of a commitment, we actively evolve and endeavor to meet these needs of our partners and of the relationship, and indeed never sacrificing ourselves, so that the relationship continues to have meaning, it continues to grow, and that permanence is not the measurement that we adhere to, but really it is uh, these masculine and feminine types of commitment that I'm talking about that allows us to move continuously move toward wholeness in a relationship. And ironically, I think by being able to do this, we are going to be able to come into a relationship, or maybe if one doesn't last, then to eventually to a relationship where things do last, because there is a continuous evolution toward wholeness and meaningfulness in a relationship, and we are going to be with people who commit to the same things, and that is why I believe real permanence will have any meaning and possibility. Conscious communication. This is yet another important quality in a relationship, and this comes about as if we know the intent of a relationship is to never really stop growing, and to really never stop deepening and strengthening the connection that we have with the source of wholeness. And wholeness, by the way, as a word, has its roots in its meaning that is related to the meaning of healing and the meaning of sacredness. So and this is going to come to some level of importance as I come to the end of this lecture, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But if our intention is to heal and to really to work toward that place that is sacred within ourselves, then we know that, and we often will expect that there's going to be obstacles along the way. there's going to be problems because none of us grow without having overcome a problem or a challenge in life. And the key in a conscious relationship is to not to step it around those challenges, to dare to communicate about the things that we think are unspeakable, because we think it might hurt the other person, that it might hurt ourselves, that we elect to deal with these things, of course, in a living manner, in a very um, conscientious and delicate way sometimes, and that we that we in the end know that by talking about unspeakable things, such as, for example, maybe the fact that we are no longer enlivened by the relationship, that we're no longer, our souls are no longer nourished through the way we relate to each other, and that our attention is starting to move somewhere else in our lives. These really delicate but important conversations is something that we're able to engage in, regardless of we know what the outcome of this conversation is going to be. So, to a certain extent, conscious communication is about the willingness to face the unknown, to walk into something and not have to have a solution ready in your head, much as it is demanded in the business world and in other areas of our lives to always have a solution to the problem or to know exactly what we need to do because society expects us to be that way, but to be vulnerable and to be willing to explore creative solutions to a problem that seems perhaps unsolvable or dangerous to the integrity of our lives. And unconditional love is probably the reason that most of us enter into a relationship, right? Um, and whether or not we realize this, uh, we are all looking for this. And I think it is quite clear for a lot of us by looking at the movies and books and music that is out there. So much of it is about the celebration of love and often the lack of it or the heartbroken consequences of not being able to receive or maintain this unconditional love that we so desire in a relationship. And just what is unconditional love? Unconditional love as a quality in a conscious relationship um, is something that has been talked about for thousands of years, and the wisest teachers try to teach us about this. Jesus, Buddha, and Mother Teresa, and many others, right? So, um, unconditional love is something that is uh, really this feeling of warmth, of kindness, of compassion. It is um, a source that has um, this limitless feeling where it just keeps giving. It is gentle. It is not. It is always there, really, and it is something that we have been taught that we should seek from another person. And of course, we are always going to try to give unconditional love to those that we love, but it is really difficult as a human being to do this. Uh, and in order to be able to do this, really, actually, it is a source that we have to tap into ourselves first. And this source, as has been described by the Buddha as of loving kindness, a sense of compassion, a self-compassion. It is much like the sun that is always there. Um, it might be covered up by the clouds of our negative thoughts and emotions, but it is a source that's once we tap into, we feel the realness of it. We feel the concreteness of this love that is gentle, and when we're able to tap into this source of unconditional love, then we are less dependent on the others to give this to us, and we're more capable, in fact, to give this to the others. But how do we do it, right? I mean, how do we realize this unconditional love if it is really within us? And well, uh, it is a in the end, it is really a moment by moment practice. So it is not something that you discover once and for all. It really is something that you develop over time, and to tap into that feeling, that wholeness, in fact, that I was really talking about. Um, and as when we're children, we have a really strong connection to this unconditional love that we have inside of ourselves. Um, and But over time, we're taught to close up and to protect ourselves from um, the, the injuries that we can suffer from being in a relationship with others. And the way to open ourselves up again really is to practice to suffering with an open heart when life puts us in a situation or in a relationship or in a specific interaction between with a living partner who's normally kind, that we don't shut ourselves down, that we don't shut ourselves off, and so that we cannot feel the hurt. We allow the hurt to be there. We don't turn away from that, but of course, we don't let ourselves be abused by partners who are consistently unkind and condescending to us. But in that moment where we do feel hurt, that we accept that the hurt that is there, and we consciously try to wait for the hurt to pass, so that we can uncover the love that is underneath the hurt. That there is a part of ourselves that after the hurt, the bleeding has gone, the blood has dried, that we will find a ground of a fertile a love that is waiting to regenerate, to heal us, and that it is through this practice of this loving, connecting with the love within ourselves, that we're able to really stand there and be there for our partners in a way that they need us to be, and to really to be there for ourselves, and not to begin to uh, anesthetize ourselves with television, with substance, with food, with work, with other things in life, so that we can turn away from the nourishment that we really need from the primary relationship that we're in. And so this is really what unconditional love is about. And of course, there's so many different definitions of love. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I'm giving you the complete and unique definition of love, but really this is my own understanding, and that I know that it's going to take practice, and it's a lifelong practice. And until we can get to a point where we are able to access this love um, consistently, then it is worth practicing and over and over and over again um, in a conscious relationship. Finally, the quality that is often not talked about and and relationship self-help type of books, or outside the circle of psychology and religion, is in fact spirituality. So, what is spirituality? Spirituality really is this need that we have, that everyone has, uh, for meaning in their lives, for something that is greater than themselves. It is a yearning for a deep connection with the world, with something that is beautiful. Um, it is it is just this unquenchable thirst that we think can be met through through maybe financial security, through achieving certain milestones in our careers, through becoming somebody famous, um, and but nothing indeed can really satisfy this mysterious need that we have, that I call the need, spiritual need, and and of course we've all heard of famous people going through devastating um, experiences in life and even committing suicide, despite on the outside it looks like they have everything, right? Celebrities and famous people, so that we know that fame and wealth and all these things cannot give us everything. But Carl Jung, a well-known Swiss psychologist, has said that the origin of our psychological problems really come from a denial of our spiritual needs, and that here we are beginning to understand that the separation between our psychological needs and our spiritual needs is not separate. They're overlapping needs really here. And it is important to understand this in a conscious relationship is because once we understand that there's a part of ourselves that has a need that cannot be met by another human being, at least not consistently, because our need for connection and for love and for beauty and all these things and for meaning is something maybe that we can help our partners meet for a limited period of time and consistently, but it's hard to really do that over a period of time. And really, in the end, it is not necessarily our role to play that, to offer this to our partners. So, with that understanding, we begin uh, to meet this need from a place where it is appropriate, and that we don't demand our partners to be able to do this for us. And this really takes a lot of burden off of our shoulders and off of the shoulders of our partners. And that you can imagine a relationship where both people are having their spiritual needs met and not through each other necessarily. It's going to be a relationship where it is more able to fare better. It's just more realistic, and and it's going to last longer too because uh, the partners do not even deny that they have this need, as many people might do. So we talked about uh, a lot here, and there is really so much to relationships. And I'm not going to pretend here that I have all of the answers. But I do believe that in this lecture that you have received um, a good outline of what is important and is going to contribute to the wholeness as that you're seeking in life, and that the relationship is able to bring to us, because relationship really is like a magnifying glass, and to the extent that we are well along in our journey to wholeness, a conscious relationship is going to magnify that wholeness of who we are. And to the extent that we have not traveled very far on this journey of wholeness, then the relationship is also going to magnify where we are incomplete, where we still need work. So it is not good or bad, it's just that a relationship really is a wonderful opportunity for us to do the work, so that we can really have the things that we truly want in life, to really reach that level of quality that we all deserve, and want to give to others in our lives, our loved ones, our children, our parents, our friends, our partners, obviously, in the community that we're in. And really, it is by becoming more whole that we are able to become inspiring examples. Um, we don't really have to be a Gandhi or a Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa or anyone else that you can imagine that you admire and respect. Someone who has um, given so much to the world, and we can give to the world in our own seemingly insignificant ways, and have the impact of our actions and love and kindness uh, be spread beyond what is imaginable or at least visible to us in our lifetime. And that, so really, the wholeness of the world depends on our ability to become whole. And this is where I believe our ability to impregnate life with our love and continuously give birth to something wonderful depends upon our wholeness. And in turn, the wholeness and the continued dignified existence of the human race on planet Earth depends on us to do this work diligently. So, um, well, this is the end of my audio recording. And again, I just want to thank you for having listened to all that I've had to say for now on the topic of conscious relationships. And I really hope that there's something in this lecture that you are able to take away with you, even if it's just one thing, that you can take that with you and use it for your own benefit and for the benefit of all of those that you love. And well, until next time, I wish you a wonderful life and a never-ending journey on this path to wholeness. And I love you all.